Please record. So good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, members of our community who gathered in this virtual forum this evening, and those who may be watching it streaming on Facebook or watching the video at a later time. My name is John Lestitian. I'm the town manager, and the charter of the town requires an annual report to the council on the state of affairs of the town. And so I've gathered my staff leadership team here with me this evening, as well as some other staff members, to do just that, to share with you things that we've accomplished, our goals, some challenges. And with that, let's jump right in. And Mr. Chelton is handling the slides. So as we start this year, I found it best to start here. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. These are our values. They're not pejorative terms. And I think that's important to tell ourselves and the community that these are our values. While some may use them as a pejorative, this is who we are. We are diverse, we strive for equity, and we work towards inclusion. As you see on the slide, this is why the town is strong. Even in the midst of uncertainty and, to a degree, chaos. When we look at diversity, and I'm actually going to read from these slides just for this part of the presentation, because I think it is that important to make clear what the town's values are. Diversity, the quality of being different or unique at the individual or group level. This includes age, ethnicity, gender identity, language differences, nationality, parental status, physical, mental, and developmental abilities, race, religion, sexual orientation, skin color, socioeconomic status, work, behavioral styles. The perspectives of each individual shaped by their background, experiences and culture, and more. It's good for us to remember that even when people appear the same on the outside, they are different. As we then look to equity, it's a focus of fair treatment for all, considering a person's unique circumstances and adjusting to ensure that opportunities and outcomes are not predicted by identity. Equity aims to level the playing field and create equal outcomes. And inclusion. A strategy to leverage diversity. Diversity always exists in social systems. Inclusion, on the other hand, must be created. In order to leverage diversity, an environment must be created where people feel supported, listened to, and able to do their personal best. This is the culture that my team aims to create within the town as an organization, and that all of us work towards creating in the community known as the town of Riverdale Park. So as we move on, we also have to confront some reality. Right now, there's a lot of uncertainty as it relates to the economy. There's uncertainty in individual families and lives, depending on immigration status, depending on employment. Things may appear foggy. There's a thing called DOGE. Inflation, depending on the day, if tariffs are on or off, cost of goods and services will vary. But despite having all this uncertainty, we remain focused and action-oriented, looking outward to the community. It's one thing I love about this town. We always look outward. We look out to the community and say, how can we respond to the circumstances that are in front of us? So tonight, we're going to continue, Mr. Shelton, and we're going to continue the discussion by focusing on being of importance to our residents. This is a message that the staff team talks about regularly. Every week, we have an all-staff meeting. And every week, we talk about this, being of importance to our residents. It's important. It's our primary goal. And we've developed this E to the fifth, and the mayor and council, community members who have been around for a while, they've heard these things before. But this is the focus of the staff team. First is ethics. Second is expectations, setting our expectations for our staff and for the community in terms of what it is that we can deliver. Sometimes we're challenged and folks say, well, we have a higher expectation. You need to do more. And we do our best to rise to that new expectation. We work to be as efficient as we can, to be effective, and we execute. It's not just about putting together ideas and plans. It's about getting things done. So we're going to jump right into finance. Most of the time, I keep this to the end. But this year, I think it's important that we talk about finance now. So on this next slide, you'll see some information about alternative funding sources. So we brought on an ARPA manager to handle the American Rescue Plan Act funds. And once we were finished with that, we came to the council and said, we want to keep on a grant person. This is important. You see, as indicated on the slide, we have Laverne Peaks with us this evening. Laverne, thank you for doing a really great job for the town. Currently, or in the last year, 16 grant applications submitted, 7 grant awards totaling $629,000. We have 13 active grants right now, total $1.6 million. It's working. Now, we have that uncertainty. We're not sure about federal grants or state pass-through grants in the next several years. We're going to do everything we can to secure funds. And as you'll hear when we talk about different projects, that includes going after implementation money for the Safe Streets for All, the construction funds. More on that in a few moments. So, in the current budget year, it's important that I share what it is that we have done as a staff team to address the uncertainty that we face. So we're moving pieces around now to ensure we end the year stronger. That includes that positions that were authorized in the current year budget, authorized for us to fill as of January 1, we've left those positions vacant. We've also limited travel, limited training to training that's absolutely necessary. We're taking important, balanced steps to end the year as strong as we can financially, so we can have the highest revenue net operating expenses that's possible. So in 2026, Mr. Shelton, and if you go to the next slide then, sir. There's some themes for 2026 that come from the leadership team and the staff budget committee, which is comprised of Mr. Jones and Mr. Smith, myself, and we've invited Director Barnes into that discussion as well. And some themes that are important to share. Holding a line item at a previous year's budget numbers is really cutting the budget. When costs go up and you keep the expenditure flat, you're actually cutting the budget. because flat means it increases with inflation. And even though inflation, it's up and down right now, there's a lot of costs that are sticky. And we find that especially with contracted services. Give me one moment. Had a pop up. My apologies. So we talk about the impact of inflation, the competitiveness as an organization, as well as a community. I've said many times to the staff team, I believe several times to the council, we are in competition with other municipalities. People choose where they live. People choose where they open a business. People choose where they work. People choose where they visit. And we have to remain competitive. Now, we have some pressures on the budget. Healthcare costs have increased. We don't have an exact number yet, but we know it's going up. Same with workers' compensation. The retirement benefit cost, we do know that we have to lower the actuarially determined contribution of the defined benefit plan to 6.5. That's down from 6.8. What that means, there's an inverse relationship. We have to increase our contribution to the defined benefit plan. That's going to cost us more money. And then we have to look at the sustainability of our revenue sources. And with all the uncertainty, we typically come really close in our projections. I'm not as confident as I typically am on our projections. We're going to give the best projection that we can. But with you just turn and read the articles in the media. There's articles saying that the DC region may slip into recession by the end of the calendar year. Still, with all these things, we still have to be about action. We still have to look forward. We still have to meet the needs of our residents, and we have to improve our competitiveness. Mr. Choate. So, in finding balance. Now, I've mentioned that in the current year, we've done some things. But what we're already doing for fiscal 26 in order to close a gap, because we have a gap. Right now, I don't have a balanced budget to present. I'll present a balanced budget on April 7th, but as of tonight, I don't have a balanced budget. But in the proposed budget, we're going to delay a position that was authorized this past January to next January. The same with the finance position. We will be asking for a new support position, but we'll be doing that in January as well. We're going to continue to limit training. We're holding costs flat. Again, that's cutting the budget in select areas. And then the proposed budget is going to include finding a new balance for real property tax rates depending on land use. This involves looking carefully at the rate and the growth in values across uses. So commercial uses and industrial uses in town, as evident from the triennial reassessment that just concluded in December, grew by 1.9%. Residential, on the other hand, as the residents can attest, residential values have grown substantially. Our preliminary number is about 6.5 across the town. Multifamily has grown in value by 10%. So staff are going to be putting together a proposal for the mayor and council to consider an increase in the tax rate for commercial and industrial properties. We also have to, when we're having discussions about that as part of the budget process, I'm going to encourage the mayor and council to look carefully at what a commercial property impact is on the town. So commercial properties offer employment centers. Commercial properties offer convenience for our residents to receive goods and services. Those are positive things. They help build our community. They help identify who we are. That's important. It's also important, however, to recognize that increased traffic on our roads, especially truck traffic in industrial areas and larger commercial areas, that takes a larger toll on our infrastructure. Walk routes in commercial areas to residential areas typically have more litter, as well as use of the public trash cans. We call them corner cans, and that drives up cost. Most significantly, though, 54% of police calls for service are at commercial properties. Our largest expenditure in terms of cost center is the police department. And 54% of their calls for service are to commercial properties. So, in addition to finding that new balance, staff have been busy scrubbing the listing that we received from the state on the assessable base. And what we have found is there was a commercial property that was listed as exempt. We've worked with the state, and that exemption has been removed. That's a $13.3 million property. And that will help in closing the budget gap. And then we're also looking at utilizing revenue net operating expenses from the current year. With these things, Mr. Jones, Mr. Smith, and I, and Director Barnes, we're working to pull the gap closed. And there may be some pain. I advised the larger staff team last week that while there will be a COLA, it's entirely possible that we may have to split the COLA. We may have to offer a small COLA in July and the balance of the COLA in January. That's yet to be determined, but I want the staff team to know that that's a real possibility. Mr. Shelton. So, with all this going on with finance, I've mentioned we can't be static. We have to do new things. The proposed budget, and we'll talk more about this on the 7th, but it will include some money for a Main Street program. Our town center's been officially in the Main Street affiliate program since immediately before COVID. And the last 5 years, it's been difficult to get that up and running. But now's the time. Now we have an opportunity, and as we'll talk about in a few minutes, we have more residents wanting to be involved now than in my time with the town. And I think that's incredible. And to pull off a Main Street program, you need community involvement. We're also launching the town business roundtables. We'll have the Safe Streets for All planning for phase 2. So in May, that's our understanding when the grant opportunity opens up for us to be able to apply for those funds. And Laverne Peaks and Director Lewis are working on that. We're also going to have more events, but we're going to do low-cost events. We're going to refocus and just try to bring people together as economically as possible. Now, I'm saving what I think is the best for last. This is an idea that I want to bring forth to the mayor and council as part of the budget. The TRP Art Walk. So we have a trolley trail that runs through our town. I've walked the trail. I probably should bike it, but I have walked the trail. And it's pretty okay. It connects, and you can't tell, like, when you leave Riverdale Park and get into Hyattsville, or leave Riverdale Park and get into College Park. But wouldn't it be something if we branded our trolley trail differently and made it an art walk? The mayor and council in years past have committed to public art through working with the Hyattsville CDC. We have some public art along the trolley trail, but what if it became the Town of Riverdale Park Art Walk? What if we deliberately set out over the next several years to work with our residents, to work with local artists, to have art installations along the walk? Right now, we have a town center that is doing fairly well, and we have some incredible businesses in our town center. Manifest Bread, 250 Barbecue, Town Center Market, Banana Blossom, Riviera Tapas. The walk from Town Center up to Riverdale Park Station, I believe, is about 1,800 feet. Folks will typically walk 1,500 feet to get to their destination. But if the entire trolley trail in Riverdale Park was a destination, perhaps we get more foot traffic to help those businesses. So right now it's an idea. We're putting a couple dollars in the budget, and we look forward to talking to the mayor and council about that through the budget adoption process. Mr. Shelton. So, vision and commitment statements. In the last year, the mayor and council have gone through the vision and commitment statements and made amendments outlining what it is that the town is working towards in housing and neighborhoods, our business and economic development, our sustainability, our infrastructure, in arts and recreation, in community engagement and transparency, for our professional, well-trained employees, in transportation and ethical governance, and in best practices, technology, and data. These are our guiding documents on the staff team. When we put proposals together, this is what we look for, or look to give us guidance. Mr. Shelton. So here we are 25 minutes in, and we're still in the introductory phase of the presentation. But I think it's important to pause to thank everyone that makes Riverdale Park a special place. So let's first start with our residents. Our residents, our businesses, our investors, people who choose Riverdale Park. Because our vision is to be the location of choice. Special recognition of the mayor and council. Mention the town residents, the state of Maryland, the District 22 delegation, Prince George's County, the Discovery District Working Group, Riversdale House Museum, the county school system, our municipal partners, MNCPPC, and the list continues. Our faith-based communities, our nonprofit community partners, the Riverdale Park Business Association, area volunteer fire departments. This is phrased purposefully this year. We've spoken at the council meetings about concerns over the operation of the volunteer fire department on Queensbury, our number 7, the Riverdale Park Volunteer Fire Department. They have not been able to provide service essentially since the end of May. The other area departments have stepped up and are providing service in town. Now, there's still concerns about the service in terms of timeliness, and that's something that I'm working to get clarity for the mayor and council. However, they are working here, and Director Barnes and I met just last week with the Hyattsville Fire Department that's currently handling 60% of the fire and EMS calls within the town of Riverdale Park. And their message to us is, we're here to help. and it was a really productive discussion. We also want to thank the Riverdale Park Arts, the Farmers Market, CCAR CDC, Hyattsville CDC, and the University of Maryland. We have some incredible partners that are making everything that's happening in Riverdale Park possible. I mentioned earlier about having a more engaged residency. So we have a board of elections now. That's new. We have the ethics commission. We have the sustainability team, the green team, the walk, bike, drive advisory committee, the board of code appeals, the town seal design committee. And Mr. Mayor, I think if you wanted to create a new committee or commission tomorrow, you would have plenty of volunteers. And that's why I'm confident that the town is strong. We have a much more engaged citizenry, if you will. Our residents are much more engaged. Mr. Shelton. So I'm going to talk high level on some CIP projects. And Director Lewis, you'll handle your department stuff later on, but I may call on you if I get stuck. So there's 35 projects. Not going to read through all this. We're doing our best to make visible and impactful change in the community. That's what we're trying to do. Mr. Shelton. So I'm going to highlight these, but we actually have photos of these in the slides ahead. So we have the protected bike lanes. We had the sidewalk extension on Queensberry, sidewalk on Cleveland. We had striping of the trolley trail. We have the 48th Avenue sidewalk from Nicholson to Longfellow. Mr. Shelton. In our walk, bike, drive projects that are underway, it's a little difficult to see in the map, but we are trying to have our projects line up with the high injury network, and we're trying to address things there. The walk, bike, drive safety initiative plan, quick build safety projects are underway in the design phase. Our road improvement projects throughout town. The town center, and we have some slides on that, the trolley trail realigned and the Tolley Place, and some streetlight projects. This is where we're working towards having equitable distribution of projects. And you see by the dots, we're working east of the river and west of the river. We're trying to work in all areas of the town to ensure that safety issues are being addressed equitably. Mr. Shelton. So for those of you who have not been over in front of Town Hall, right next to us is Riverdale Elementary School. And for years, students have exited out the doors and come to the north side of the building and walked in the street. There's now a sidewalk, shielded by a fence, to keep folks and keep the kids and their parents out of the street and out of really the Department of Public Works yard where we have large vehicles. So the sidewalk goes down right now just to the park area, but we're working with Park and Planning to have some sort of a path through that park back out to Riverdale Road. But the sidewalk is complete. Mr. Shelton. The 54th Place Pocket Park and Tot Lot. You know, we're going to have to name that. I think the staff are going to put that on an agenda and come to the council to learn how you would like to handle that process. But that project is complete, and this is an incredible improvement east of the river in our multifamily neighborhoods. The 48th Avenue project sidewalk, complete. CDBG funded, Community Development Block Grant funded, that was federally funded project. And it made the walk route more safe. The trolley trail lighting, that project was completed in the last year. So I mentioned that we're going to talk a little bit about the trolley trail realignment and the Tolley and Lafayette Avenue redesign. Mr. Chelton, we're probably going to go through the next 6 slides relatively quickly. If you want to go to the next one, please. So there are 3 designs that we're going to be bringing to the mayor and council. We're putting these out to the community, and there will be a public meeting in May, Director Barnes? Yes. Where the community will once again provide feedback on what it is that they would like to see. But there's 3 designs for the trolley trail realignment and 3 designs for the Natoli Lafayette redesign. So here is design 1, and you see how they're maneuvering the trolley trail through the town center parking lot, Mr. Chelton. And then design 2, creating more of a plaza, keeping the trolley trail to the west, Mr. Chelton. And here, kind of going through, but creating a much larger plaza for being able to gather. And we're going to have all these designs up on the town website if they're not already there. I'm going to ask Director Barnes to also make sure we circulate those through email to the mayor and council so they have the designs, and then we post them through our social media networks as well. Moving on to Lafayette and the Tolley redesign. Here's I would say the simplest, but we go to the next one and you see that it's reconfiguring the roads more. And then when you look at the last design, the most complex, again, creating a much more plaza type area. And I'm just imagining the possibilities of having this type of green space and programmable space with a larger plaza on the other side, and how something like that could be used to celebrate community. So we've been working on this municipal center for a long time. And I mentioned that when I talked to the council about this just a few months ago. And we are near complete. So Director Lewis, I know it's been a rough ride. And I want to acknowledge how hard you've worked to keep things moving through different contractors. Because we have to remember, we had a first contractor that we had to say goodbye to and then had to rebid the project. And but we are very close. And we're also working on that temporary use and occupancy permit. Matter of fact, there's a meeting tomorrow with the inspection staff to make sure that we're all on the same page. Should we not be ready for the full use and occupancy, that we'll be able to achieve the temporary prior to the election. Next slide. Adam and Emily Plummer Park. Director Lewis, do we have this on the agenda for next week to brief the council?
I believe we've moved it until April.
Oh,
So
okay.
the first or second meeting in April.
So we'll be coming to the mayor and council to get authorization on a contract to get all the stormwater management completed. The permitting on that has taken quite some time, but we're ready to move forward, and we're working with our on-call contractors. Queensbury parking lot project. This too is coming along. We hit a snag in this caused by the county, frankly, in terms of wanting additional studies and then wanting the entire parking lot elevated. So we're working to comply with their requirements. You see in the photos here that the houses are down, and we did have some gravel put in, and we're using the area as temporary parking for some of our police vehicles. We also have stormwater projects, and I believe Miss Peaks, Laverne, she's probably not planning on me calling on her this evening, but I believe we were just awarded some grant money for Beale Circle, and I think it's $89,000 that we got towards that project. And so, again, just good work on looking for alternative funding sources. And the bond funded is the $150,000 that Senator Washington had arranged for to help us with the design. We're also working on rain gardens and the municipal center bioretention cistern system and the town mitigation assistance to residents. There's other stormwater projects out there. As I mentioned to the town in 2019, stormwater is one of our highest priorities to address stormwater. Now, we've had lots of other things happening, but we have not lost sight of the fact that areas of the town are prone to flooding, and we have to do everything we can to mitigate and to encourage the county, who has the primary responsibility for stormwater management, to invest in their system. Mr. Chelton. So, just one slide on 6601 Baltimore Avenue. So, just a brief update for the community. The National Defense Authorization Act, signed in December 2024, says that this property may be conveyed to the town of Riverdale Park at no cost, along with a description of the town's plan for use of the property, which includes removing over 2 acres of impervious surface. So when we talk about stormwater management, this could have a really significant impact because it's a fairly large contributor to runoff into Wells Run, which is immediately to the south of this property. I will be working with the mayor and to coordinate, and with our federal partners to work towards acquisition of the property. Mr. Chelton. So, pollinator gardens. Mr. Chelton, would you like to say something about the pollinator gardens?
Certainly, I can speak to the pollinator garden. So I believe last year when we presented on pollinator gardens, we mentioned how we had just finished installing our first pollinator garden over by the bridge that leads to Riverdale Park Station from Riverdeck Court. And this year we're presenting that we have a second location determined. It is located in the area we refer to as east of the river. It's just north or just in between the two crossing apartment complexes or buildings. And it is the area shown here. We've determined the location and are currently working with the green team members on the design of the pollinator garden and sourcing the plants for the pollinator garden. We expect to have that installed this spring, and we're pretty excited to work with the crossing property managers to make sure that this space looks a lot nicer and hopefully improves the area overall.
Thank you, sir. Why don't you continue, Mr. Chelton?
I'd love to. Yes, that I'll also continue to the community garden and food forest is doing well. It's still a little bit early in our spring season, so there's still a lot of growth to happen before we can have very robust pictures. But we have been working with the green team on this site as well for signage, and in fact, the same group that we're working with on the design of the pollinator garden we're working with here on the signage. There's specific designs that we plan on installing to help educate folks on what each plant is and what type of animals, flora and fauna are benefited by the fact that that item is there. And so the new sign that welcomes everybody to the community garden and food forest area also outlines the rules and the purpose behind the food forest and why it was originally created. And yes, we're very happy with how the food forest and community garden have been doing so far.
I'll just mention that on parks and trees, we have a number of park projects that are happening, and we're planting trees. And once we get the stormwater management system installed at Adam and Emily Plummer Park, then we're going to be able to begin the installation of the plantings, whether it's the meadow grasses or the trees. And we've in the past year we worked on the tree inventory and management plan, the town arborist solicitation, and we have extended. I believe that's already in the contract now, Director Lewis, the price being extended to residents. And we're planning some educational and consultant services for property owners. So I'm going to stop talking for a little while, and I'm going to hand this off to Director Barnes.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. In fiscal year 2025, we've had or will have quite a few events. Coffee with a Cop is actually scheduled for March the 20th, and this is a partnership with the Prince George's County Police Department, led by the Riverdale Park Police Department. We do have an Earth Day cleanup that's coming up in April, and this is a partnership with the Green Team as well as the Anacostia Watershed Society. There's going to be a lot of discussion tonight about partnerships and how we're working together. So there's lots of good examples of events that we have planned. Trolley Trail Day is coming up on June the 14th, and it's an opportunity for us to work with other communities along the trolley trail, as well as businesses that are along the trolley trail or support activities that are attributed to the trolley trails, like biking and things of that nature. We are hosting Train Stop Tunes, which is every Friday, depending on the weather, in Town Center. And this is a partnership with Riverdale Park Arts. They coordinate all of the music for our Train Stop Tunes program. We have the patio concert series that's mostly in the summertime. It'll be coming up again this summer, and that's a partnership with Riverdale Park Arts. One of my favorites is we've held walk and talks. We have two more scheduled, one more that will be in this fiscal year, which is June the 21st. We held two community conversations, one on January 18th and one on the 22nd. We covered topics like the preparation for the fiscal year 2026 budget and election. The Memorial Day wreath-laying ceremony was held this year at the Veterans Monument. The holiday season kickoff event was held on Small Business Saturday this year to support our small businesses in town, to encourage folks to spend their money locally in Riverdale Park. This was also a partnership with the Riverdale Park Farmers Market, Inc., who helped to coordinate the vendors for the event. National Night Out is a national event held on I believe it's the first Tuesday in August. This is another event that's led by the police department, but we all work together to bring exciting activities on that night to the community. We had movie nights or Screen on the Green this year with Riversdale House Museum. We also held an event with the town of Edmonston, and that was tied to our Hispanic Heritage Month event. We worked with Riverdale Park Station on a Fall Fest. That was the first time this year, and it was wonderful. It went very, very well. Jazz on the Lawn is another event that is held in the summertime, and it's a partnership again with Riversdale House Museum, and I believe they also work with Riverdale Park Arts to bring music to the lawn of Riversdale. The Veterans Day ceremony this year was fantastic weather. I put in every year for wonderful weather, and it was beautiful this year, and we had a great turnout and went very, very well. Shop with a Cop and the toy drive occurred during the holiday season, and both of those events are led by the police department. The Shop with a Cop program is in conjunction with the Prince George's County Police Department and Riverdale Elementary School, as is the toy drive. And when we're talking about partnerships, one thing I'd like to highlight is how many of our residents participate and give toys for the toy drive. It's really wonderful to see that every year. And I'd like to think, or I'd like to recognize our residents as our partners in making that toy drive happen. We held our second annual Valentine's Day luncheon at Crescent City Center, and it was fantastic. So we hope to do that again next February. And I left off the list, but I did see that Andrea is here, so I want to make sure to mention that the Spring Fling and Egg Hunt is happening again at Riversdale on April the 5th. So we have lots of wonderful activities for 2025, some still to come. So the future of the events in 2026 and beyond, we want to build on our successes in 2025. So more town events, more town-sponsored events, and more town-supported events. We want to expand our partnerships and sponsorship opportunities and develop a recruitment strategy and training program for volunteers. We also want to be very budget conscious when it comes to events in 2026, and we're working hard to create events that build community, but don't have a huge price tag. So the town's communication platforms are listed here on the screen: the town crier, constant contact, our status and information report that's bi-weekly. We have social media platforms, and of course the town website. We continue to refine our communication efforts. We focus on inclusivity, making sure that as much as possible, everything is bilingual, and we'll be focusing on ADA compliance in our communications, especially when it comes to launching a new website, which is planned for fiscal year 2026. Again, the focus is on continual improvement and continuing to refine the efforts to get the information out to our residents.
So on programs. Next slide, Mr. Shelton. So the Farmers Market Dollar Program, widely popular, supported strongly by the mayor and council, as evidenced by the budget for the years that we've had this program. And the program had to be trimmed back as the federal monies ran low. And I mentioned earlier that we had discovered an exempt property that should not have been exempt. Staff are working to get 3 years of back taxes, not back taxes. They were technically listed as exempt, but they should not have been. So under state law, we're able to go back 3 years. This is a significant sum of money. If we're successful, and we should know within the next probably 2 weeks, if we're successful, then the proposed budget is going to include continuing the farmers market program at a reduced rate through a good piece, maybe all of fiscal 2026. This is money that was unanticipated, and it's one-time use funds. And we believe taking a portion of those funds to continue this program during this really uncertain time adds value to the community and aligns with the mayor and council's vision and commitment statements. So that's our intent. We'll find out in the next 2 weeks whether or not we'll be able to include this in the proposed budget. Next slide, Mr. Shelton. Mr. Shelton, would you like to cover the next few slides here?
Absolutely. The town has a number of grant programs to support residents. Those include the Accessory Structure Grant Program, Residential Emergency Repair Program, Neighborhood Safety Improvement Grant Program, and flood prevention and damage mitigation grant programs. Each of these programs are designed to help our residents both maintain their property values, but also increase them in some senses. So we're happy to say that over the last 12 or throughout the 12 months of 2024, we allocated just under $11,000 to residents to promote this effort. And we hope to increase that number significantly by marketing the programs more in the future. My next button is not always working. Okay. All right. I can continue as well with the business program. So just as we have grant programs to support our residents, we also have grant programs to support our businesses. Those include the Small Business Assistance Grant, the Celebrating Business Initiative, Flood Prevention and Damage Mitigation Program, Business Growth Grant, the Neighborhood Safety Improvement Grant Program, Commercial Appearance Grant, and the Commercial Emergency Repair Program. These programs are similarly designed to encourage businesses to both locate within the town, but also remain here within the town. The idea is that they can help improve their property's value and make it easier for them to stay and attract more customers through these grant programs. I know that we are anticipating a greater promotion of our Celebrating Business Initiative as part of our economic development efforts over the next 12 months. And so I'm looking forward to sharing more information about that with the council later this year.
So we have that uncertainty. It's important to acknowledge that that uncertainty is going to limit investment. So last year, we spoke of there being potential 805 new units, residential units in the pipeline. Those units are still in a pipeline. There's a project at the Old Chambers property where a developer put together a plan. We have the lofts in the town center, and we have 2 large residential buildings in Riverdale Park Station, the multifamily buildings. I don't believe that we will see those buildings being substantially complete for several years. I don't believe that we will see groundbreaking on those buildings in the next 12 months. I think that's fairly safe to say that things are a bit too uncertain now for developers. So not a doom and gloom message. They're still in the pipeline. It's going to matter on financing and when the developers feel comfortable in moving forward. From my experience, I don't see that happening in the next 12 months. Next slide, Mr. Shelton. So on the assessable base, the bulk of the town's revenue is derived from this source of revenue, the real property taxes. And new development is unlikely to increase the assessable base until fiscal 2028 or beyond. So that aligns with what I just said on the new development. You're looking out at least 2 additional fiscal years before those buildings are substantially complete, if they were to happen sooner, and they don't enter the tax rolls until they are substantially complete. Mr. Charlton, and if you could take the next slide.
Absolutely. So the next slide is a presentation of our net accessible real property base uh, over the last few years. And the reason I included it again this year was because, well, so last year I had shown that in the years that the town was reassessed, typically we did not see a significant growth or any growth in our our net accessible real property base and therefore our tax revenue. So I'd like to point out maybe I can show my mouse. 2019 and 2022, these were just following a reassessment. So those were the years where we saw actually a decline in our tax revenue. I was concerned about that again happening in 2025. So I had highlighted that in last year's report, but I'm happy to say that this year we did not see a decline. In fact, we saw one of the biggest growths, actually the biggest growth we've seen um, besides 2018 in the last 9 years here. So um, to help visualize this a little bit, I've included this additional slide here showing a trend line, just trying to show on average how much the town's net accessible base increases year over year and how we are aligning with that. And so we do have one outlier in 2018, but for the most part, we're to the trend line. We're increasing about as much as we expect to, and this year we're just a touch over the trend line we were expecting.
And with that being said, just getting back to the difference between the increases in residential versus the increases in commercial and industrial. And so commercial and industrial really lagging behind at a 1.9% increase when residential is 6.5 for most housing units. And was it over 10%, Mr. Charlton, for multifamily?
I believe so. I believe it was just over 10%.
Next slide. So our demographics, you're going to handle this as well, the community demographics.
I will, yes. So there were two aspects relating to demographics that I'd like to highlight. As the town manager mentioned, we have a very diverse population within the town. So one of the statistics that I found from the census and the American Community Survey that I thought really emphasized this was the language diversity. So about 60% of residents speak a language other than English at home. This is comparing to about 21% as the state average for non-English language at home. And of those, just over half of those residents, just over half of our residents speak Spanish at home. So it's very important, and I know that I work with Director Barnes closely on making sure that any of our communications, whether they be for events or for flyers that we put up about just information from the town or from neighborhood services about how to make sure your property is improved and grant programs and things of that nature. We try to make sure that they're all in both Spanish and in English, so that we try to engage with the largest portion of the town's population. Another census item that I thought was important to touch on was the educational attainment and workforce. We have an educated population. So about 30% of our residents have a bachelor's degree or higher. And we have a 64% labor participation rate in Riverdale Park, which is pretty much on par with that of Maryland as well as the United States. So let's continue on to the next slide.
So I just wanted to acknowledge the elected leadership here. And we are about to go into a segment of the presentation where we talk about what the accomplishments are of the departments. And I think it's important to recognize that it's the mayor and council that direct the funds. It's the mayor and council that approve the priorities and the proposals. And our accomplishments are in large measure because of the leadership of the mayor and council. So on behalf of the staff team, just thank you all very much. We would not be able to accomplish what it is that we have without a dedicated elected body. Next slide, Mr. Shelton. So, Mr. Smith,
Yes, sir.
who we are as an organization. Next slide, Mr. Shelton.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council and residents of the town of Riverdale Park. We say diversity, equity, and inclusion matter because our different experiences and skills make us stronger. As you look at our chart, the average tenure is 8 years, 4 months. The average age is 41.6, and the female representation of staff is 24%. That's up 1% from last year. The head count is currently at 54. The authorized positions are at 57.25. We had a modest head count growth reflecting cautious hiring due to ongoing economic uncertainties. And the same with even though the head count is at 57.25, we have not hired for all positions. As the town manager stated, we insist our hiring pace remains intentionally slow until conditions stabilize. The breakdown by department head, we have Public Works, and we'll try to make this bigger for everyone. Public Works, 9. Public Safety, Safe Speed, 1. Public Safety, Police Officers, 23. Public Safety Communications, 5. Public Safety Administration, 1. Office of Administrative Services, 6. Neighborhood Services, 3. Town Manager, 1. Financial Services, 2. Finance and Employee Services, 2, and Development Services, 1. You also see the breakdown by department. 15% is Public Works, 28% is General Government, and Public Safety is sitting at 57%. We have 37% of the staff is bilingual. That's up from 35% last year. And we talked about the average age. So this gives us an age breakdown, and I won't go over that because my number may be close to 7. And we went over the average tenure. If you could go to the next slide, I would appreciate it. And this looks at the employee demographics. Once again, we say diversity matters. Because we believe that a diverse team solves problems more effectively by seeing issues from multiple angles. We believe that diversity matters because creativity increases when people with different backgrounds collaborate. And we believe that diversity matters because better decision results from diverse input and ideas. As you look at the chart here, we had a slight uptick in most of the categories. So we have a very, very diverse team here, and a lot of efforts have gone into making it a more diverse team. And we see recent shifts in employee demographics show increased diversity. We see an increase among African Americans, Hispanics, and other groups. And this reflects the ongoing effort that the town manager has given us to enhance diversity and representation in the workplace. And
Then we'll go. Yes, thanks, Paul. So we have our departments and our offices. And so this next part of the presentation, the department heads are going to talk about what it is that they've accomplished and what their goals are. And so let's start at the top of the list, I think, Director Barnes, and if you just hand off to the next person.
Certainly. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Jessica Barnes. I'm the Director of Administrative Services. If you saw on the last slide, the icon used for administrative services was a gear. And I think that's great symbolism for the Office of Administrative Services. According to Google, a gear shows interconnectivity, and that's exactly what the Office of Administrative Services does for the organization as a whole. So in the last fiscal year, OAS expanded the digital outreach and increased public access to information, produced about 660 social media posts across many platforms that we talked about earlier. We generated 165,000 page and profile impressions, and thankfully we're a very diverse team, and I did get a little bit more information about that. So those are clicks and views and comments and reactions, and it's over an entire year's time. We generated 51 constant contact, emails, which is the TRP news and updates that go out weekly. That's also bilingual. We have over 1,000 contacts subscribed to the newsletter that goes out through Constant Contacts. We uploaded 49 YouTube videos in calendar year 2024 to the town's YouTube channel. We manage the town's response to Public Information Act requests, and that's a huge part of what we do related to transparency and good governance. We coordinated and supported meetings of the mayor and council, the ethics commission, the board of elections, and the town seal design committee. Some of those things included providing agendas, meeting materials, community outreach, communications. There's a town election this year, so the staff will support the Board of Elections in implementing the 2025 town election. The Walk, Bike, Drive Advisory Committee this year held a community meeting that was very, very well attended. The town OAS also provides support to the team, other town departments, to include communications, outreach, engagement, and translation services. So these are all things that we work together to really provide effective and efficient communications with our community. We enhance the sense of community through town events and community partnerships. So we talked about that a little bit earlier in the presentation. One thing we didn't talk about is that in this fiscal year, we will also celebrate the town centennial. So the 100 plus 5, so centennial plus 5 due to COVID, but we will be celebrating the town in that way. Next slide. Some of the goals for next year include launching the town's website. So we want to launch a new website that's easy to use and interactive and provides those types of services for residents. It's hopefully very simple and will provide easy access to the information that we talked about previously. We also want to work to promote our town businesses, and we think we can do that through some aspects of the new town website. We plan to program the community space in the newly renovated town hall. We are very eager to get all sorts of those budget-friendly events that we talked about back into town hall, as well as some of our story time and ESOL classes that we had prior to the renovation project. Again, we're going to develop new and budget-friendly events that'll continue to build the sense of community that is so important here in Riverdale Park. We'll increase the inclusive programming throughout the year. We're going to grow those partnerships that we talked about earlier with our current events to develop new events. And we're going to include our neighboring jurisdictions as much as possible. That will also be a cost-conscious way to provide more events for all of our residents. And we're going to continue to refine our communication plans, seeking new ways to reach our residents and businesses and investors and visitors. And as discussed previously, we plan to hire a communication manager in January of 2026. I think the next department is Development Services. Director Shelton.
That's correct. Thank you, Director Barnes. Yes, I spoke a little bit about what Development Services has been working on, but I'll like to highlight some areas again. So the Office of Development Services goal is to increase the accessible base for the town and make sure everybody's property values stay high and everybody's safe and happy. So the first accomplishment I'd like to touch on is secured additional grant funding. I believe it was one of the first 10 slides we were talking about additional grant funding that the town has secured. We've secured a significant number of grant funds. The second item is implementing programs to enhance businesses and homes. We touched that out again a little bit earlier in the presentation. For residents and businesses, we have separate and sometimes overlapping grant programs to help both property owners to improve their properties and increase their property values. This leads to a strengthened town's assessable base. As we saw in that assessable base graph and table, we increased by a little bit more than what is typical for us, or what we would expect based on the trend line. So that's great to see. And the last one is the dispersed just under $250,000, but it was $245,000 through the Farmers Market Dollars Program to address food insecurity. And as the town manager mentioned, when we hear word back on those potential tax dollars from the no longer exempt property, we may be able to continue that again through the next calendar year. The next slide is the development services goals. Our goals are to introduce new grant opportunities, focus on improving our residents' and businesses' well-being. I know there's a lot of uncertainty occurring, and it's been our practice in the past to tailor grant programs to the struggles that we are seeing our businesses and residents face. So, for example, when we had the pandemic, we launched a number of programs specifically to address the insecurities and the struggles that our residents and businesses were facing then. So, we are poised and ready to create additional grant opportunities based on these uncertain times. Our second goal is to increase private investment by reducing barriers for residents and businesses. So our goal is to, through grant programs, make it easier for building fit outs, make sure that our permit process is as simple as possible, and working with businesses to help find locations that suit them. And as for residents, just helping them with our grant programs that exist already, such as the accessory structure grant program, emergency repair, and items like that. Our next goal is to support green and sustainable development. As the town manager said, we have a lot of larger development projects that are most likely going to be postponed, but we are going to work with developers of all sizes to promote green and sustainable development. And our next two goals are to strengthen business community engagement through new initiatives such as the quarterly business roundtables, as well as additional outreach efforts, and improve walkability in public spaces. That be introducing new sidewalks to areas that currently don't have any sidewalks, or any sort of other walkways and parks and things of that nature through grant programs that we've applied for. The next slide is the Office of Neighborhood Services. That is also my purview. So Neighborhood Services is responsible for making sure that everybody's maintaining safe property and the minimum standards as outlined in the town code. Some of our accomplishments over this last calendar year include updating our licensing and inspection applications. We've gone to a digital version, which has helped us communicate with the residents and help them understand what they do need to include and not include, and makes things a little bit faster all around, which is always good to hear from residents when we don't want to be compared to the county's permitting process. I'll leave it at that. The next achievement was implementing proactive measures to reduce blight. I believe it was in 2023 when we introduced the vacant property program and other property maintenance improvement code changes. And this past year, we've been growing our registration, our vacant property registration, and monitoring those, and working with those property owners to make sure that their properties are up to the town code. The next accomplishment is updating town codes to protect property values. One of our biggest town code adjustments over the last 12 months, or I guess throughout 2024, was the improvements we made to the multifamily property maintenance and property standards. So I believe it was July when we updated the town code to include a lot of safety measures that would include lighting in parking lots, locks on doorways, key fob, or some sort of a lock in order to enter the building at all. We were having a lot of security issues, which caused a lot of concern around property values, because if you have extended safety issues in an area, that can lead to other problems as well. So trying to enforce those and succeeding in enforcing those new codes has actually helped reduce the calls that we've received for those types of concerns in those buildings. The last neighborhood services accomplishment was the onboarding of a third staff member. And that was Mr. Chuck Tucker, and we're working with him on getting his certified as to the town's standards. The town requires that all neighborhood service specialists are certified in property maintenance code based on the International Code Council's exam. I will also take the next slide. I believe that this should say Office of Neighborhood Services goals. Our goals include digitizing our paper records. We still have a lot of paper records. We do have a digital record of everything that we do now, and it's helped our staff maintain some organization and maintain communication with our residents. But we would like to digitize our existing paper records in order to make sure that we have an accurate history and it's easier to see any sort of history we've had with a property. Our second goal is to increase efficiency through technology. We're expanding our software program to make sure that it's easier for our staff to note when there are violations and to adequately follow up with them. Our third goal is to enhance staff training. I mentioned before about the International Code Council's exam on property maintenance code. We have also had our staff taking courses in order to prepare them for other exams and other certifications for building codes and residential codes, in addition to the property maintenance codes. And as I mentioned before, our fourth goal for neighborhood services is to expand multilingual resources, and that would include any sort of violation notice. That way it's much easier for residents to be in compliance, and it's always easier to correct behaviors when we're able to communicate effectively. I'll turn it over to the Office of Employee Services.
Thank you, Ryan. Office of Employee Service accomplishments. We continued TRP University employee training. TRP University training continues to prioritize a respectful, inclusive workplace. Part of our training that we've gone through this year is anti-discrimination, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and employee safety. We increased the wellness program participation in Gold's Gym by 59%. We went from 17 people enrolled to 27. A significant increase in the wellness preparation. It reflects a positive employee engagement. We developed a virtual online onboarding presentation. It improved the onboarding virtual process in a tremendous way, and it gives us a smoother transition for new hires. We hired and onboarded 9 new employees successfully, filling key roles across departments and enhancing the town operations. And those hires included 5 police officers, a dispatcher, an events coordinator, neighborhood service specialist, and a Clean Street ambassador. We entered phase 3 of the implementation of the electronic timesheets. The digital timesheets, it helps streamline payroll process. In the police department, we brought it into the police department division this time in the, I think it's CID and the community policing division. We'll start phase 4 in the first quarter of 2026. Next slide, please. Office of Employee Services goals to expand employee wellness. We have engaged with Connect Care, which is part of Cigna, for online wellness enhancements. They are offering online classes on nutrition, exercise, and smoking cessations. We also enhance employee training. We will continue to train employees, and not only in diversity and inclusion, but we're also looking to expand into things like Excel and Word. We will also provide additional in-person and online training opportunities when they are available. We improved the workplace safety. I think accidents are down by 50%. We also initiated the Safety First program, and we also have assembled safety committee, which will have their first meeting with it in the next 2 weeks. And as I stated earlier, we implemented the Bamboo HR electronic timesheets, and we'll be going into phase 4, and that's the final phase for timesheets. And we will digitize employees' personnel records. And I skipped a couple. And we will be looking into starting the flexible spending accounts for employees, and we will explore transitioning to the state health insurance plan. And with that, I'd like to turn the mic over to Gentry Jones, Deputy Director of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Good evening, Mayor and Council, members of the public. So the Office of Finance Services has a number of accomplishments that we'd like to highlight. First being the Distinguished Budget Award. This was the 7th consecutive year being awarded the prestigious Distinguished Budget Award from the GFOA, or the Government Finance Officers Association. Next, we have developed annual budget and capital improvement projects to align with the town goals. We also developed long-term financial strategies, forecasts to ensure fiscal sustainability. The budget projection that we had put out in the previous budget had hit the mark within 0.02%. So it was another accomplishment. We also presented over 36 financial reports to the council and public. In doing so, ensured public transparency and compliance. Next, we have debt management. So the management of the existing municipal bonds, monitoring the debt levels, and then ensuring timely repayment of those loans. We oversaw accounts payable. So for accounts payable management, managed the purchase, goods, services, overseeing the process of payment to suppliers and contractors. We also had implemented grant management, which is involved with identifying, applying for, and overseeing state and federal grants that support various projects within the town. And last is timely revenue collection. The town has a number of different revenue sources, and we managed to collect taxes, fees, fines, and other municipal sources of income to ensure that we hit our budgetary goals. Next slide, please. Office of Finance Service goals. So there are a number of goals that we've highlighted. First being to extend alternative revenue sources. Again, it falls back into the accomplishments that I just discussed earlier with the implementation of the grant management team. The goal there is to continue to find alternative sources, including grants. Next is to maintain fiscal responsibility and stability. This is continuous, as evidenced by the Distinguished Budget Award, successfully completing audits and such. Another goal is to modernize the financial systems. So the goal here is to continue to expand and grow our current operations by modernizing our financial systems. Next is the sustainable and long-term financial planning. So the plan for economic downturns and develop long-term financial strategies for capital projects, something that we continue to do as we build the budget as well as the capital improvement projects. Next, we have a more efficient revenue collection and some potential third-party collections. So we are looking into continuing to improve our revenue collection. We've been collecting, our revenue and hitting our budgeted revenue amounts, but the goal here is to continue to improve and be more efficient in that space. And last is to enhance public engagement and transparency, creating easily accessible financial dashboard for residents on our potential new website. So yeah, that highlights all of the accomplishments for the Office of Finance Services, as well as the goals.
Good evening. I'm Chief Rob Turner, and I'll be joined tonight by Deputy Chief German Garcia. And I'll be covering the FY 2025 accomplishments for the police department. First, we'll start with training. And obviously, the police department does a lot of training, but we want to highlight one individual training course. 100% of our officers attended a tactical medical training and first aid class. The course was designed to bring timely medical care at the point of injury, bridging a gap between trained officers and responding EMS personnel. Each officer carries an individual first aid kit, which contains a tourniquet, compression bandage, impregnated gauze, occlusive dressing. And we're proud to say this program was developed by Sergeant Saunders within our department and is recognized by the Maryland Police Training Commission as an in-service course. In August, we launched an automatic parking enforcement and parking permit program. And since that time, we've issued 726 parking citations, 75 warnings, and issued 121 parking permits. We engaged in a number of community engagement events with the police department, but we want to highlight our National Night Out program, which we host in August. We emphasized anti-bullying and bicycle safety, and the event was hosted at Riverdale Park Elementary School. We expanded the speed camera enforcement to include residential enforcement zones, which includes all of our automated enforcement zones except River Tech Court. We grew the department, recruiting 5 sworn new police officers in line with the town's diversity and inclusion policy. So I'm proud to say we have 50% of all PD staff is bilingual, and for the first time ever, we have 3 female police officers. And lastly, sustainability. We've recently purchased our first all-electric police vehicle. We just had it delivered, and it has not been upfitted with emergency equipment, but it has already gathered a lot of attention from the community. And I'll be passing along the next slide to Deputy Chief Garcia. He'll cover our goals for 2025.
All right, good evening, everyone. This is Deputy Chief Garcia, and I'm going to be talking about the police department goals for fiscal year 2026. We're going to start off with evaluate. We're going to test, evaluate, and implement stop sign camera enforcement. Next one up is going to be employee retention. We will offer a career path development structure to assist employees with advancement. We will utilize special training courses to enhance performance, for example, sending employees to institutions such as the Northwestern Center for Public Safety, the DUI Institute, and other leadership developmental programs. The goal here is to encourage higher education. And for some of these courses, there are scholarships available, so it will help with the cost. Next, we have innovation, digitizing evidence, property control to better manage and track inventory. The new software will integrate with our existing Motorola record management system. The next goal is expand outreach with the Riverdale Park Elementary School and the College Park Academy. We currently have one police officer who volunteers weekly at the Riverdale Park Elementary School, and we're looking to expand that opportunity to the College Park Academy as well. And the last goal we have for now is it should be partner. We already covered innovation. It's going to be to collaborate with the Office of Development Services in business outreach and education on crime prevention. Our community policing officer is scheduled to attend a commercial and residential crime prevention course in April. This course will allow the officer to conduct security surveys. And that's all I have for now. Next slide, please. And I'm going to turn it over to Director Lewis. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ivy Lewis, Director of Public Projects and Services, Department of Public Works. The accomplishments of the department would not be possible without the participation and support of the other departments that you heard from this evening: Finance, Police, Development Services, and the Office of Administrative Services. With this support, the department has lead responsibility for maintaining the town's infrastructure. This includes roads, road markings, sidewalks, curb and gutters, curb ramps, trees, signs, parks, and buildings. We have a staff of 9 employees, including myself. One position is part-time, as previously mentioned. This is our Clean Street Ambassador, who focuses on litter patrol primarily in the multifamily community and in the town center. The operations manager, with the support of 2 team leaders and 4 full-time crew members, plus the part-time employee, handle the day-to-day responsibilities of the department. My position is largely involved in procurement and contract and project management. I'm happy to present our accomplishments for the current fiscal year. They include having secured 3 on-call engineering contracts and 3 on-call construction services contracts. With these on-call resources, we avoid having to proceed with individual solicitations for the resources we need to complete projects. It saves time and allows projects to begin sooner than they would be if we had to solicit proposal for each of our projects. These contracts are for 5 years. I failed to mention or add for this presentation that we also secured an on-call arborist for 5 years for maintaining our tree population and planting new trees. You might have noticed our flashing stop and pedestrian signs throughout the community. We increased the number of flashing signs by 9 new signs this fiscal year. 6 of them, the word stop will actually flash. We anticipate receiving those flashing signs any day now, and certainly to have them installed before the end of the fiscal year. I've seen one of these signs in another community, and it gets the attention of motorists. In fact, the word stop is fairly large, or appears to be, and it flashes. We have an agreement with Eco City Farms to accept leaves from the town at the Edmonston Farm from our leaf vac collections, which supports the farm's composting efforts and saves the town money in dump fees. The department has completed several projects already this fiscal year. Many of them you've heard about already. I'll just quickly review them. The one that I'm most proud of is the 54th Place Pocket Park and Tot Lot. Also, the Trolley Trail Lighting Project, in fact, most of it was completed with the lights on 33 Pepco poles a couple of years ago. We completed the 9 town-owned lights that completed the lighting along the entire trolley trail within the town of Riverdale Park. We completed 2 sidewalk installation projects, one on 48th between Nicholson and Longfellow, and as mentioned earlier by the town manager, the Queensberry sidewalk that now runs through essentially the DPW yard adjacent to the school playground. We also demolished the 2 Queensberry properties. These were single-family homes the town purchased several years ago to make way for a new public parking lot. And we expect to complete the few remaining items on the Municipal Center renovation project this April. We have 149 of the town's 242 lights already converted to a lower light temperature at 3,000 kelvins, the town's new standard, from 5,500 kelvins, which obviously is a much brighter light. This is a total of 69% of all town lights that have been converted to 3,000 kelvins. I should mention that new lights installed on Pepco poles also meet the standard of 3,000 kelvins. Lastly, working with the Neighborhood Design Center, the department completed a rain garden pilot program report, which is the town's first step in developing a rain garden program for public rights-of-way in areas where they will function the best. Next slide, please. The department's goals for fiscal year 2026 are certainly ambitious. And they rely on the support, cooperation, and involvement of a number of public agencies. But nevertheless, we believe these goals are achievable in the coming fiscal year. We anticipate completing or making significant progress on the following projects, many of which are currently underway, to identify, build, and evaluate so-called quick build projects or demonstration projects under the Safe Streets and Roads for All program. This is a part of our planning effort to identify improvements or temporary improvements that we can quickly make and evaluate their impact on the perception of safety, as well as the extent to which those improvements have indeed created a safer environment. We intend to update and map our infrastructure survey results. We completed a sidewalk survey in 2024 that also took a look at curb ramps and crosswalks existing and their conditions. And we have yet to map that data and look forward to mapping it in the next fiscal year. We also plan to continue to replace our gas-powered equipment with electric equipment. We did purchase 3 new electric pieces of equipment this year that are in use by staff in the department, and we look forward to expanding the inventory of electric equipment over the next year. And lastly, we anticipate completing the following projects. The Walk, Bike, Drive Safety Committee has identified several improvements for Riverdale Road from Kenilworth to Lafayette. The stormwater infrastructure project proposed for Plummer Park hopefully will get underway within the next several months and be completed in the new fiscal year. There's also Mount Rose Park. Both Mount Rose and the Plummer Park will have an interpretive overlay commemorating the Plummer family legacy in our community. We also hope to complete or anticipate completing the Bill Circle Stormwater Project and the Lafayette Avenue 47th Streetlight Project. We are also looking, hopefully, or hope to obtain the DPI permit for our Queensbury parking lot. Design has been completed for a number of months. The holdup is the knowledge that we recently learned that the floodplain boundary has expanded, and that changed the requirements for this project. And we are currently working with one of our on-call, actually two of our on-call engineering companies to design or to meet those improvements. And lastly, we hope to complete 3 rain gardens in the coming fiscal year. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the town manager. Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we've presented a lot of information tonight. And I believe that the town as an organization is strong because the community is strong, that the elected leadership is strong, that the staff leadership team is strong, and indeed the extended staff team is strong. And we are setting forth a pretty ambitious, to use Director Lewis's term, goals in a time of uncertainty, focused outward on the community as the mayor and council have come to expect from us. And I have one other thing to say tonight. Mr. Shelton, if you can go to the next slide. Mayor Thompson, thank you, sincerely. This is the last state of the town that I will be presenting to you and your council. And you've helped us grow. And I sincerely mean that. I've been around a few years. I am better having worked with you. And I sincerely appreciate your insight and your coaching, your knowledge, your questioning. And for that, I am grateful. And yes. So, Mr. Shelton, if you go back one slide, and if anyone has any questions. It seems the mayor may have lost connection. I don't see him in the group here. So if it's okay with the council, I'll just take whatever questions, whoever wants to go first. Mr. Smith, council member.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. I'm wondering if I could hear more about the expanded floodplain that was mentioned sort of towards the end of the presentation. I know as I'm talking to our delegations from Annapolis and federally, it helps to have like some specific details to explain to them the scale of what we're experiencing with the flash floods that, the 100-year floods that we're having every 3 to 4 years at this point. So would love to get some more details on that. Thanks.
Yes, and that's something that we can put together and send to the council. Absolutely, sir.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions, comments, concerns from the council?
Mr. Town Manager, just thank you for the incredible detail. Thank you to staff. It was a voluminous presentation. It obviously took significant preparation and shows all the hard work that we do. So as a council and a town, we are grateful for this level of detail. Thank you so much.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns from the council?
Mr. Lestitian,
Sir.
my colleague from the second ward reminds me of my rudeness for not adding similar sentiment in my comment previously. I think of this as, I think statutorily it's for the community and for us, the council. But a big part of it is for you guys, the staff, that, these are all the things that we see the fruits of as we walk around the town, but we don't necessarily see the everyday work that comes into it and just how much each individual department is accomplishing each year while setting higher goals for the next year. So this is certainly also an opportunity from the staff to show off a little bit for the community. And we're grateful that you have a lot to show off about. So thank you.
And thank you, sir. Before I ask if there's questions or concerns or comments from the community members that are in attendance, anything else from members of the council?
Sir, if I may.
Yes, sir.
One thing that I find very promising out of this report, and I appreciate the depth and the scope and your approach to it all this year, especially so, is the, for lack of a better term, the dialogue in terms of outreach that you mentioned earlier regarding folks wanting to get more involved with the community and to help out with various efforts going forward, as well as how staff have been able to have outreach to the community on the various levels that you presented here tonight. I think that is something that is going to make a considerable difference going forward for everybody involved. And I just wanted to commend staff on the effort, as well as those members of the community who are stepping forward to offer their time and their effort for the town.
And thank you very much for those kind words, sir. I will note that in my 8 years here, I think it's you who've been championing the cause for more folks to become involved. So we appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, you rejoined. Any comments, questions, or concerns about the information we presented tonight, sir?
I don't really have any comments or concerns except to say that, as usual, this has been a fantastic presentation. Really huge amounts of information, huge amounts of goals ahead, and I appreciate the tireless efforts of town staff and yourself, including yourself, to keep us moving in a good direction and moving forward. So thank you very much, both for the presentation and for the efforts of staff.
And Mr. Mayor, when you had dropped off, I was entertaining questions. Do you want to take over that and ask if there's questions from the community or anything?
I will be happy to do that. Hold on for just a second. I actually had a power strip that was unplugged by my cat, and it took a while to figure out what was going on, so I was disconnected for quite a while. So let me see if there are any.
You may have to go back and watch the video, sir. I'm not sure you saw everything.
I don't think I did. I think I missed the last part of it. I was out, as I said, I was out for several minutes. So I'll take over.
Mr. Mayor, I would encourage you to please watch the last segment that you missed.
Okay, I will definitely do so. It was quite a shock when everything went dark. Are there questions? Mr. Janifer, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'd like to thank you for your service over the years. I've had the opportunity to meet with you, and it was a pleasure for sure. Also, I wanted to commend the police department. As several people on the call probably know, I'm a Madison Hill resident. I'm sorry, and I have a neighbor that I have some issues with in terms of illegal renting, and I have a parking issues every now and then. And every time I do have an issue, when I call the police, they respond immediately. And I'd like to thank them for that service, and I appreciate that service. And hopefully we can work on the illegal tenant situation in the near future.
Thank you. thank you for your kind words for the police department. I've certainly found the occasions that I've needed to call them that they've been quite responsive. I'm glad to hear that they are responsive for you as well, and agreed that we're always working to be on top of appropriate land use in all the different areas. And I know that your neighborhood has some issues that we are definitely trying to address. Are there additional questions from anyone in attendance, both members of the council and members of the public? Please raise your hand or unmute your microphone. Okay, if there are no more questions and comments, then again, many thanks to the town manager and to all staff who assisted, which I suspect is pretty much everyone in the staff, because lots of people spoke, but I think everybody on staff probably helped out a little bit at least. And so thank you for the fantastic presentation, and for the fantastic work that the staff do, and for all the residents who have attended or are listening. Thank you also for being involved and for being engaged in the important work of the town of Riverdale Park. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good night, everyone.